Hello, everybody. Welcome to ReelQuick, episode 78. This is our throwback Patreon review of the week. We will be reviewing the movie Spotlight, which I really enjoyed my time with. It's obviously over a rough subject matter, but I still think it's a really great movie. I appreciate all the support on the Patreon, everyone who's supporting us in every other way, subscribing, following all our social medias. Really appreciate it. First off, want to mention the writers and actors strike and just how you can support. You can sign a waiver online, just saying you stand with them. You can donate some money. If you live in the Los Angeles area, or maybe New York, I honestly don't know if they're picketing in New York, normally big cities. But if you're anywhere near that they're picketing, you can go join the picket lines. That is very helpful, as always, just gaining more and more support. The links will be in our bio. They'll be in our link tree. They'll be in our YouTube comments. They'll be everywhere we can post them. So there are many different ways to support. Go read up on it if you're not as educated on the writers and actors strike as others. It's a very important thing to be educated on and make yourself known as to what's happening, because a lot of people often think that actors are paid a ton because you know the big names are, but that's just the less than 1% of all actors that are working. So just wanted to mention that. We'll mention it every episode, and you'll hear about it forever until it's done. So
just quickly to build on that, which totally is coincidentally, like we didn't plan this, but Spotlight, the cast might make you think it's not, but it is an indie film. So shout out them not being part of the big studio AMPTP. So we did just kind of coincidentally, but indie film, which from the cast.
This was Open Road. This was Open Road Films. So not in anything in the AMPT. I forget what the acronym is. That's my bad. But moving on to Spotlight, came out in 2015. In 2001, editor Marty Barron of the Boston Globe assigns a team of journalists to investigate allegations against John Gagan, an unfrocked priest accused of molesting more than 80 boys. Led by editor Walter Robbie Robinson, played by Michael Keaton, reporters Michael Resendez, played by Mark Ruffalo, Matt Carroll, and Sasha Pfeiffer interview victims and try to unseal sensitive documents. The reporters make it their mission to provide proof of a cover-up of sexual abuse within the Roman Catholic Church. Pretty hard film to not necessarily watch, but it's just a sad watch. I grew up in a Catholic family. I would still consider myself kind of Catholic. In the sense that I don't necessarily go to church ever anymore, but I'm kind of there. So it's kind of an interesting watch and a very sad watch if you did grow up in any religious type family. But I do think it's worth watching and just kind of learning about it a little bit. We'll start off with, I think George is the only one, if we're counting like Barbie and Oppenheimer. I think you're the only one we haven't started with. So I'll go to you first for this one, as this was, I believe you're the only one who has rewatched it.
This was, I hadn't seen it since its release. So I'm happy we picked it because it's a movie I've been meaning to dive back into for a while now. Like you said, it touches on a really tough subject matter, and it's a hard watch, not in the sense that it's like a graphic movie by any means. It's just a very tough subject matter. And I think seeing it from the perspective of these journalists trying to uncover, all of the bad stuff going on behind the scenes, it just makes for a very intriguing, but, very difficult to watch. This movie handles this very tough subject matter in a very polite and reserved way, where they're not trying to throw a lot of political commentary in your face. They're really just trying to present the facts and just educate the public, which I really respect this film for doing. It's also, and maybe this is a very weird comparison, it's very Oppenheimer-esque in the sense that it's a very dialogue heavy movie, but it still moves relatively fast. And the dialogue is just so intriguing and so engaging, and you're backed by some incredible performances. Tyler, I know we rag on Mark Ruffalo a lot, but I do think this is maybe the best we've ever seen from him. Obviously, I believe he was nominated for supporting actor, and I think this was the year he lost out to Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies. Someone can fact check me on that. I might be wrong. But yeah, it's just a very engaging movie because of how dialogue driven it is, how heavy it is. You're really sucked into this subject matter. Mainly for me, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I mean, call it ignorance, but I really don't know a lot about this particular subject and this movie. I saw it as very educational. And the fact that even though I had seen this movie 5-6 years ago when it came out, it was very in one ear, out the other. I forgot about this movie rather quickly. So for me, this was a very educational experience. And I still hold up that 4 out of 5 stars. This is also one of those like weird Best Picture winners that I would still throw in the underrated category. Like, I still feel like it's a movie not enough people talk about. It's a movie that I just don't, see a lot of, I guess, movie talkers throw on like top 10 lists or just any TikTok video in general. But yeah, I really like this. I think it's gripping and tense. It kind of gives you like this uncomfortable feeling throughout. Again, even though you're not seeing anything graphic, it's just how good the dialogue is and how they're really not afraid to like, they're not pulling any punches. Like, there's information out there that they want you to know, and they're going to get across to you regardless of, how sensitive it is or how it might make you feel emotionally or how disturbing it may be. So yeah, overall, I uphold my 4.5 out of 5 star rating that I had given it upon first watch. I think this is a really, really solid movie backed with incredible performances and just really gripping dialogue.
Yeah, we'll go to Seth next. As I think this is actually, we'll go Tyler. I think this is a rewatch for you, but you didn't have it rated, so we'll go Tyler next.
Yep. So rewatch for me, but yeah, first time rating this movie. I think I watched it pretty much right after it won Best Picture, or maybe leading up to that Oscars. So pretty like been 8 years since then at this point. So a lot of times I like to say, and everyone says about The Social Network, how it turns like a biopic of a business creation into something that plays out like a thriller. Spotlight is like bare bones story wise. It's something we see all the time. It's like there's crime going on, people hunt down the crime, expose the crime. But 99.9% of the time we see that in a movie, it's a detective, police, high action scenes. This is purely journalism, going to doors, interviews, and the fact that they were able to write this to make it so compelling is so impressive. So that's why I think the writing of this is the strongest part, because I was gripped. This is dialogue intensive, like George said, but I'm fully engaged the entire time because the writing and the dialogue is so good as they dig deeper and uncover this basically mystery that's been hidden both internally and externally for so long. And I think the cast is really stacked here. Like George said, we rag on Mark Ruffalo, but I think everyone in this cast did good. None of them like blew me away. Like Rachel McAdams, I obviously love. She was fine in her dramatic role. Michael Keaton was fine. I didn't really think any of them were like blew me away with any of their acting, but they're all good, and the whole cast is very deep and stacked. But I think the writing was the best part of this. It really played out like a heart-stopping thriller at points, and just so many lines of dialogue that just make your heart sink with how depressing and devastating it is. There's some like specific moments I want to talk about that aren't spoilery, but I think it's just best to save them for after the spoiler wall's broken, so I'll just leave it there for now. Writing's my favorite part. Cast is good, not great. Very good movie though, and I do agree with George that like for an Oscar Best Picture winner, this is definitely one that like never really gets brought up. So definitely a good movie, way better than The Artist. So 8.1 out of 10 for 4 stars is my review.
The Artist just catching a shred
out of nowhere. All right, Seth. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is my first watch, same as Cam. I actually didn't know this had won Best Picture until like earlier today. To be honest, I've never.
I didn't know it did until George said.
George said it like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I did some research after I'd seen it today, just on the events. Like George, I didn't grow up Catholic. I don't know much about the story. I know obviously the stuff that's going on. I had heard about the events in the past. I think the biggest credit I can give a film like Spotlight is it's a very hard subject to tackle, and I think a lot of films do get it wrong, and the point where it becomes distasteful because they try to add a lot of dramatic sequences and dramatize it and kind of use it for entertainment value as a film. I think this film does a really, really good job at methodically keeping the details there and doing extensive research into the details to make them as accurate as they can on screen, and not like George says, not pulling punches when it comes to telling you the event, telling you the graphic details, and telling you why this event needs to be told, but also not trying to massively extend things or bring things that didn't happen, because a lot of films do, and it tackles subjects like of a serious matter. I think that's a massive statement to them that how much research went into this. I think the cast is great. I really, really enjoy them. Similar to Tyler, I think they all just do a really, really good job. They're all solid. And I think even further than what they accomplish on a level of how much they empathize, and it clearly is an empathizing story and a film that is built to retell these events and these shocking events and tell about the Catholic Church at the time and about what was going on, which I think is really important. But I also think it's a really well made film. The script is really tight. It's really well directed. Some really frequently nice shots in it, and it is not a fun watch because it's about a tough subject, but it's a thrilling, enthralling watch. Something where, similar to The Social Network, a true story which is primarily dialogue driven, that kind of keeps you gripped, keeps you engaged through its good use of dialogue and also charismatic cast as well. But yeah, I just think it's a really, really important film that showcases a good event. I didn't love it by any means, but I definitely really, really liked it. I think I give it a 4 out of 5. Really good watch, considering it was my first one. I had a really good time, and I think it's an important film. And yeah, considering it won Best Picture, you don't hear about it. I know a lot of people that love it, but you don't hear about it compared to a lot of the other films. I didn't even know it won Best Picture, so that says a lot.
The reason I remember it won Best Picture is because when it won Best Picture, I forgot the order, but Moonlight and Spotlight won back to back, and I saw the same joke about 1,000 times on Twitter where it was like Moonlight, Spotlight, next year, Flashlight, and I saw that joke 600 times. And that's the only reason I remember it won Best Picture.
That's fair.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. It was really, really good. And I'm glad I watched it, to be fair, because I've been putting it off for a while. I've been watching this for ages, it feels like. But yeah, really good.
Yeah, I like this week because I've just been going last in every review, so I can just skate by my review and just let you guys talk, and then basically the same.
You could just say I agree with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I gave it an 85 out of 100, so it just scoots its way into a 4.5 out of 5. Really, really enjoyed. Well, hate saying enjoyed this movie, but really thought this movie was very, very good. I loved the cast. I guess I see what Tyler's saying in the sense that I don't think any of them were particularly amazing, but I think they all did a really damn good job. I will say, so came out in 2015. I'd never watched it until now, and it's a little scary, how much it uncovers a lot about the Catholic Church and how much it can how much it cover up it does. And it's a little I was in Catholic, like I said, I grew up Catholic. I was in Catholic school when this came out, and it's one of those that came out and I heard about, and people are just kind of you don't really need to watch that. And so it's a little scary of how they just kind of can twist. And that's and I'm not going to rag on any religion or anything. If you believe in anything, that's great. And I believe in a lot of things, but just being in that Catholic life set, and I know how the Catholic Church operates, and it's very secretive, and it operates on its own, and it has its own lawmakers basically, and it's a little just spooky to see, because like I said, I heard about this movie a good amount, and it was never talked about in the best of light within the Catholic school I was at, or the Catholic Church, and so that's kind of a reason I've stepped away from religion a little bit, is just it's a kind of a scary place when you get into it and you take a step back with all the things that they can do and how powerful that church is. So this was kind of an eye-opening watch a little bit for me, and just seeing how much cover up went into it. And what was it? It's 2001 is when it, that's when it came, that's when it is based, but I forget when the scandals were actually happening. Before 2001, whatever they were discovering, but it's just a little kind of a spooky watch for myself, and just learning a little bit more about it, because I'd never watched this movie and I'd never read up on it. Like I said, it was kind of pushed down a little bit. So it's an interesting watch, especially now. We can go into spoilers a little.
I like that you said spooky, because that's again back to the weird Oppenheimer comparison. They're not horror movies, they're not scary movies, but the subject matter and what this movie is building towards, and the way that Tyler said it's coming off as more of a thriller, just makes it for a haunting experience, which I think just elevates any viewing experience ever.
This may be one of my favorite genres of movie, of just uncovering something. I don't think you guys have watched it yet, but All the President's Men, I think, does it best. It's basically this, just with Watergate, 2 journalists, but Zodiac is one of my favorite movies, of just uncovering the Zodiac. And it's a lot of obviously there are has the Mark Ruffalo connection, but in Zodiac it also has like a detective, so you get a little bit more intense scenes and stuff. But this like pure journalism, I think that might be like one of my favorite genres because I just love these kind of movies.
Yeah, and then also like what I think like a lot of like, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah,
I just got a call and it came through my head. Did you guys hear that like ringing?
No.
Okay. That just like exploded in my ear. That scared the fuck out of me. I got a call.
I was a bit worried about you for a second.
Yeah, I was like, holy fuck. What was I even saying?
I don't know.
You didn't even start a thought.
Right. Yeah, I know what I was saying. One thing I really love about this movie is that it doesn't shy away from showing like the mental toll that this is taking on these journalists, like how it's affecting them, like knowing like what's going on and like the worst that they get mentally as they dive deeper into this situation, which I think, again, like Cam mentioned, Zodiac does that really well with Gyllenhaal's character specifically. So does David Fincher's Seven with Brad Pitt's character. Like this movie does a really good job at taking care of like every aspect of its film, from like the educational standpoint of making sure its audience members know what's going on, to the thriller aspects, to even every single character, whether, you know, it was the main character like Michael Keaton or, you know, a supporting role like Mark Ruffalo. They do a very good job at like making sure that the audience members are like on this journey with them. Like we are like experiencing this like mental decay that they're taking because of the graphic nature of what they're uncovering, which again, I just think makes for like a very intriguing and engaging experience, especially with like a detective movie. You kind of like, you want to be in that mindset. You want to understand like what these people are going through. Another movie, Prisoners, Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, does a really good job at showcasing
I thought that was a little more like, I don't know, less like trying to discover something and more like, I didn't mention it, but I do agree with what you're saying.
No, yeah, I was more just talking from the perspective of like Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a detective, and you can see him clearly like just diving into madness. I
think like Memories of Murder is a good example.
Yeah, like perfect example.
Proximity dialogue.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
very, very similar. Proximity dialogue, uncovering a subject matter of and a tough issue, and especially with Memories of Murder and Zodiac and all these references. You know, they are all true stories and they follow true subjects, and they have to be researched extensively to give the most honest and sincere portrayal of that as well. Which, you know, is really, really good. By the way, George, did you say that Mark Ruffalo? So Mark Ruffalo was the supporting. Did he get nominated for supporting in this?
Yeah, supporting.
I thought he would be like the lead.
Yeah, I think Michael Keaton's technically the lead in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I agree. Because
on Letterboxd, it's Mark Ruffalo at the top. So I thought he'd be considered the lead.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where like there's no true lead. So I think they marketed, they pitched him in supporting because they probably, I don't know what the best actor lineup that year was, but he probably had a better chance of being nominated and possibly winning and supporting. Yeah. It's like, it's like one of those movies like Oppenheimer, like outside of Cillian Murphy, anyone can be nominated for supporting actor, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, one thing, speaking of acting performances, one thing I really appreciate in any movie is when someone can come in and just have like 2 minutes in a movie, but just totally leave an impact. And I just scroll way down in the cast to find this guy's name, but Richard O'Rourke, who played Ronald Paquin, he played that, you know, the old priest, and, you know, trigger warning for some words I'm going to be saying, but it's just literally quoting the movie. Like, you know, and it's just like the most harrowing moment in the movie for me is when he's like, yeah, sure. Like I diddled those kids, but like I never raped them. Like, and it's just the way he like just so dismissive of it. It's so like horrific. And then and then he like throws away. He's like, yeah, but it doesn't, like, I mean, the only reason I did it is because I was raped. And he's like, just like kind of uses that as to be like, well, that's the like, and it's just so chilling how, and like I get like they're hinting at like with his like kind of wife who comes in, like he might be deteriorating mental state or, you know, starting to lose it a little bit, but still like just how deadpan he was just able to be like, yeah, sure, I've diddled him like for years and years, but like I never went that far, and I got and he's like, I got no pleasure from it. Don't ever think I got pleasure from it. And it's like, man, that's just like so that's just like a 2-minute scene and you never see him again, but that's just like completely gripped me, that scene.
Wasn't it his wife? I thought it was his sister.
Whoever he was living with, like comes in and is like, get out of here, whatever.
That's what makes this movie like stand out among this like specific genre. Like obviously I think Memories of Murder and Seven are better films, but like in those movies you see shit, like you see disturbing shit. This movie just relies strictly on its performances and its writing to like make you feel uncomfortable and make you feel like a piece of shit, and it just executes that aspect just so goddamn well. Like it doesn't like overdo it like showing you anything. Like you don't see anything that would make you like look away from the screen. It's just like that one, like the example Tyler just gave. It's just like such a perfect example of just chilling dialogue being delivered incredibly.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, George. Yeah. I think I prefer Spotlight to 7, honestly.
I think I do have Spotlight rated higher than 7 actually, but
oh, interesting.
Oh, really?
I think yeah, I guess it would have to be a sister, right? Because can't priests like not get married? I'm like so not. Yeah, so it'd have to be a sister. But then the other scene that I think was most impactful for me was when the survivor was like the main survivor that was kind of being the interlink between the newspaper and the events. He was just kept getting so upset, and he finally like snapped. He's like, I already told you this like years ago. Like you guys didn't do anything then. It sounds like you guys are spinning stories and doing nothing. Yeah. That was super great scene. Then the other like standouts like Ruffalo's monologue, which again, I'm sorry, like it's a me issue. Like I just don't like Ruffalo. And, like for me, like it's like similar to like when people laugh when like Albert Einstein came in Oppenheimer's, like when he was giving that emotional monologue at the end, like these are children, we gotta save them. I just couldn't help. Like I just can't get into.
I thought that was so good.
No, I know, and that's fair. That's a me problem. But Mark Ruffalo can't do anything emotional for me that I can like get locked into.
What's your stance on Mark Ruffalo? I think he's fine.
I like him a lot.
It's a me and George thing. Like, and
no, it's just so bland.
Well, actually, everyone on my Letterboxd comments are saying, for real, I've said how unwatchable Mark Ruffalo is. I mean, he can't stand his acting, all that.
He was included in a, like, I know Tyler replied to it. He was included on like a worst actors of all time. Really? But that also had like Florence Pugh on it, which is just a bad take. And then I don't think he's had a couple other people that were just
that was
bad
a bait post.
I know what you mean about when he's a bit bland. I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's fine. I think, especially in this, I like his monologue a lot. I think that was one of the most impactful scenes for me as well, when he's staring at, with the silent night. That was really impactful when he's listening to the silent night, looking at the kids see it. That was really sad. That was really, really sad. And I think Mark Ruffalo actually does really well in this.
I think it's a great performance. I'm looking at, I think we talked about it earlier, of like what the best acting. So they didn't have anyone in lead role, but this is the year Leo won in The Revenant. So you're probably going to put you're probably going to put your best performance in supporting.
Hot take. That's the year Michael Fassbender should have won for Steve
Jobs. Facts. That is one of the best performances. I love Steve Jobs. I love that movie, man.
I like that take.
I like that take a lot, actually.
But we're anti-Apple, but pro Steve Jobs movie.
Oh, yeah, fuck Apple.
Facts.
No, fuck Apple. Good job for Michael Fassbender, because we're pro actor.
Good performance.
We're pro Michael Fassbender around here.
Yeah, definitely pro Michael Fassbender. He picked some stinker movies, not to get into that, but he's got a bad agent.
the Snowman or whatever it was called.
Yeah, the Snowman, and then like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
My God, Assassin's Creed.
Cam, are you looking at the IMDb trivia for Spotlight? Like, do you have it pulled up?
No, I have the Oscars website.
I was just like, because like the top one. It's like the most liked one is like in the baseball game scene. Okay, never mind. I get it. I read it real fast. I thought it was saying 3 actors' names were in the background, but no, the real people that the actors in the movie were portraying are in the background of that scene. So that's super cool. Like the real person Michael Keaton's playing. But at first when I read it, I thought it was just naming 3 actors. Like, why is this the most liked? I've never heard of these actors before. But yeah, and then the only other stuff on like fun facts is just like basically praising Michael Keaton's borderline method acting of the real life Walter Robinson, where like when they met with Walter Robinson, like he was just blown away by how Michael Keaton was like, he was like literally disturbed, like looking at Michael Keaton. He's like, how are you literally like me right now? It was almost like scaring me how you're literally just an exact copy of who I am. So the acting was really good. And like Michael Keaton, like Walter Robinson was kind of like the head guy of Spotlight. So I think that's why like also plays into the fact of why like he would be like the lead actor. Supporting. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I think there's some really impactful scenes, but when it's not those impactful scenes, it's really, really good. The rest of the movie too.
I don't have a ton to say. It just kind of, I think it just, like I've mentioned a million times, it kind of hit for me on just how harrowing it was, like to watch this all unfold. And like, I've heard a lot of things about like this kind of thing and other things in the Catholic Church that are very easily. And like, if you watch Concussion, basically like the Catholic Church owns, or just like religion owns a day along with football as well. But like they mentioned that. And it is true. Like the church owns like a day of the week, Sunday. And it's just a little spooky to just think about sometimes, but.
Is Concussion the Will Smith one?
Okay. Yeah. Not a great movie.
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell the truth. That was like their big moment, and it just did not come off well in the movie. I don't think is in every commercial. But we'll wrap this up. I appreciate you guys sitting in this for a long day today. Great podcast episode this week. Great couple of ReelQuicks, and then of course this one. Did I read off who recommended this?
I think you did, but shout out Trey Artsy once again for being
yeah. Shout out Trey Artsy. If I didn't say it earlier, I meant to, but shout out Trey Artsy. Shout out all the patrons. Please subscribe, like, follow, do whatever you can to support us. Also, if you're a patron recommending any, like, so we always post every week, draft and movie. I think we're going to change it up to like patron recommendations. We'll always do a movie, just because it's good to talk about older movies that are, and watch these things that we haven't seen. But if you don't want to see a draft, if you want to see another grid, if you want to see a trivia, recommend that as well. There are a lot of also comments in the Discord. There's now a recommendation section. If you want to see any of that, just let us know and we'll make it work. So thank you everyone for the support as always. Have a nice day.